Okay, y'all, for a real quick intro, what I failed to do before all of this filming of our super production the other day is to do an intro video to tell you what I am doing. So this video is all about the method that we are going to be using to do our debt snowball. It's similar to Dave Ramsey's Debt Snowball Method, so I'm going to show a comparison of the two and why I feel like this method is better. So I hope that this video is helpful. Okay, so here I'm going to explain Dave Ramsey's Snowball Method, which is the most common debt payoff plan that people are using. And I want to explain this so I can show you the difference in the method that I'm going to be explaining a little bit later on. So with the Dave Ramsey Snowball Method, what you do is you're going to list your debts in the order from the smallest to the largest. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to just be laser focused on one debt at a time. So every other debt besides, we're going to start with the top debt, you're just going to pay the minimum payment. Starting with the first debt in my plan, so what we're going to do, and you can adjust this amount as you like, is we're going to start with an additional $100 a month. So starting with our example, our first debt is $750. Our minimum payment on that debt is $25 a month. With our additional $100 that we're going to be putting toward our debt snowball, we're going to be paying $125 a month on that, and we're going to pay that off in 6 months by doing that. Once we're done with that, that's completely wiped out. We don't owe that debt anymore. So now we have an additional $125 to move to our next debt. So our next debt is $1,000 and we've been paying $25 a month on that debt. We're going to add an additional $125, so our new payment amount on that debt is $150. We'll pay that off in 6.7 months. The same thing, we'll keep going. Now we've been paying a minimum payment of $250 on our $5,000 debt. We're going to roll that $150 into that, and now we're paying $400 a month on that $5,000, and we're going to pay that off in about 12.5 months. Then for our last debt, same thing, we've been paying $300 a month. We're going to add that $400 that we've used to pay off the other debts, roll that into that. Now we have $700 a month. We'll pay off that $7,500 debt in 10.7 months. So that comes up to a total of 35.9 months, or about 3 years. Now that doesn't consider interest rates, the minimum payments we've been making along the way, but it kind of balances out, or will be less than this amount of time. But that's just to give you an idea of how the debt snowball works and how you continue to build upon the payments every month. So we want to go through the 10 steps that Robert and Kim Kiyosaki talk about in the How We Got Out of Bad Debt audio CD. I don't think it's for sale anymore, and it may be somewhere, but you can find it for free on YouTube. But it's an audio CD that I listened to probably about 5 years ago, and it worked very, very well for us. So I'll just go through the 10 steps. If you want to listen to it, just look up How We Got Out of Bad Debt on YouTube by Robert and Kim Kiyosaki. It's about 45 minutes. Changed my life. So you can listen to it, but please continue to watch my video so I can show you the steps. So step 1 is to be honest. You have to tell yourself the truth and have an understanding of where you are with your debt. If you don't understand you are in a place where you need to pay off debt, or you're under the water, or you may be in a position where you might need to file bankruptcy, if you don't, not even just understand it, if you don't admit that first to yourself, then the rest of this plan won't work for you. So be completely honest with yourself. Take an overall look at your debt picture and say to yourself, okay, I am in this position. This is the debt that I have, and I have to have a plan to get out of it. So the director is giving me fingers, so hopefully we edit this out. But we're going to go on to step 2. So we talked a little bit about step 1 and being honest and getting a realistic picture of the fact that you're in debt and you need a plan to get out of debt. Step 2 is to stop making a debt. Stop accumulating more debt. If you go into this plan and you get set and you start paying off debt, but you're still accumulating more, you're never going to get out of it. So you're going to be in a constant rat race of trying to figure out how to continue to pay off the debt. So if you're really ready to get into this plan, stop using the credit cards, stop getting the personal loans, whatever it is, you need to completely stop and take your time and say, look, I'm not going to get whatever it is that I felt like I wanted. Needs are different, but if you are constantly accumulating debt for these wants that are not necessarily necessary right now, then you need to stop doing that right now in order to make this plan work. We are on step 3. So step 3 is to make a list of all of your debt. And when I say all of it, I'm not talking about your bills, because you need to create a budget. So step 0, I should have went back to that, would be to create a budget, because you need to know how to pay your bills and take care of your 4 walls. So if you're going by Dave Ramsey's plan, you already know that part. But to pay off your debt, you need to know what debt you have. So sit down and make a list of all of your debt. So your car payment, any personal installment loans, your student loans, yes, your home. I know that Dave Ramsey says to not include your home, but your home is bad debt. So you need to include your home in this plan. And Robert and Kim talk in the audio CD about how there were some people who in the plan were able to pay off their home in like 5 to 7 years. So yes, you need to include your home because your home is debt. I don't know why Dave Ramsey doesn't include it, but you should include your home in this plan. You also need to include the loans you got from Mom and them, from Junebug, and like anybody that you owe money to, you need to include it in this plan. And even if you don't have a monthly payment with someone, make one up anyway. So for instance, my husband and I were talking, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, my mom, you know, she gave us, you know, this money or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but we need to add that to our debt list, because that is a debt. And we need to make sure that she is listed on our debt list, because we have to pay that back. And whatever that monthly payment arrangement is, if it's $1,000 loan and you want to pay them $10 a month and they agree to that, if that's fine. If they say $1,000 a month, that means you need to pay it back next month. Put it in the plan as $1,000 a month, but you need to make sure to make a list of all of your debts. Everything that you owe, put it on the list. If you forget something, make sure you add it in later and add it to the plan. But you have to list all of your debt to make this work. So that's step 3, make a list. So step 4 is an optional step, but I would recommend it. I'm still working on this myself, but it's to hire what Robert and Kim called in 1983 a bookkeeper, but you need an accountant. You need someone to help you keep good books and to know your numbers. You need to know what money is coming in, what money is going out. So it's a good investment to hire a bookkeeper. I know that some of you all are like, I barely got the money to pay these bills. So if it's something that you have to look at later on down the line, I do recommend that you do it. But right now, if you are going to handle your books, go ahead and handle your books. But I do highly recommend when it's time that you can hire a bookkeeper. So step number 5 is to create a visualization of your debt. This is a very powerful tool. Don't dismiss the effectiveness of doing this, because it's really going to help you as you go through and pay off your debt. So if you're like me and ordered this audiobook a long time ago, there's a workbook in there and it shows you, like, it's written out so you can see it. But I'm actually drawing it out for you to give you an idea of how it works. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a quadrant. So that's 4 sections for people who don't know what a quadrant is. Sorry, some of y'all might not know. Create a quadrant. So this is going to start out blank. You're going to have 4 squares. In the upper left hand corner, you're going to have the name of your debt. So in this example, we have Visa. In the upper right hand corner, you're going to add in there the total balance for that Visa account. In the lower left hand corner, you're going to put the minimum payment for that Visa account. And now in this lower right hand corner, what you're going to do is calculate. Remember, we're not worried about any interest payments and all the other stuff. We're just going to calculate based on the balance and the minimum payment how many months it's going to take us, if that's all we had to do, to pay off this Visa balance. So since this Visa balance is $1,000 and it's $25 a month, that's going to take us 40 months to pay off. Okay, so I think you get the understanding of that. We're going to do the same thing with our other debts that we've used in our earlier examples. So this is how your visualization will look to pay off your debt. Of course, you may have more quadrants. Remember, quadrants is 4 squares. Don't forget that. I know some of y'all might forget that. You might have more quadrants than this. You might have less. But to have this visualization is going to be very powerful, because the next step is going to be very important. You need to circle this number in the lower right hand corner, because this is going to determine the rest of your plan and how you're going to pay off your debt. In our previous step, we talked about our 4 debts, and then we determined the number of months that it would take for us to pay off the debt. This is the difference in this plan. How we're going to order our debts is the lowest amount of months that it's going to take us to pay it off. The reason for that is going to be a bigger impact for you to be able to pay off that debt faster and then start to roll into that snowball a larger amount than if you were to do the smaller debts. It'll make so much sense when I do the side by side later on. So you didn't see this part, but what I went ahead and did is listed the debts in the order of the months that it would take to pay them off. So we had the MasterCard, which would take us 20 months to pay off. Then we had the American Express, which was 25 months. The Discover was 30 months, and then the Visa was 40 months. So how the plan works is just like Dave Ramsey's Debt Snowball. It's just that we ordered our debts in a different way, because the amount that is now going to roll into our snowball is going to be much larger than if we did it in the order of Dave Ramsey's way. Because in Dave Ramsey's way, the Discover card would be the first that we pay off. If we pay off the Discover card first, now we only have $25 a month to roll into our next debt, which would be our Visa. Then our Visa would be the second. So now 25 and 25, we have 50. So we have $50 a month to roll in. So what I'm going to show you is the difference in Robert and Kim Kiyosaki's method. So right now our MasterCard is the one we have listed first, because our MasterCard was 20 months to pay that off. So that was a $5,000 balance. We started with a minimum payment of $250. Remember, in both plans, and we talked earlier in Dave Ramsey's plan too, in our plan we're going to add an additional $100 a month. If you can do an additional 100, do an additional 10, do an additional 25, whatever it is, just do something that you're going to add to your snowball. Right now we're doing 100, so that 100 plus that 250 is $350 a month. We're going to put that $350 a month toward that $5,000. Now we're going to pay that off in 14.3 months instead of that 20 months. So we just cut off about 6 months worth of payments. What's fantastic about this plan, again, as opposed to the normal debt snowball, is now we have $350 to roll now into our debt snowball instead of $25 if we would have did it the other way. So now with $350, we go to our American Express card that had a balance of $7,500. With our $300 minimum payment that we had before, plus the $350 that we wiped out because we've paid off our MasterCard, now we pay $650 a month to Amex, and we're paying that off in 11.5 months. Fantastic again, because now we have $650 to roll into Discover, which was only a $750 balance anyway. Let's just say, remember, we're not thinking about interest and fees and all the other things that are already added in. We're just assuming everything is at base. We had a $25 minimum payment. Now we have $675. Knock out that Discover bill in 1.1 months. Roll it into the Visa bill, which is our last bill. We got $25 a month plus $675, $700 a month we're paying on that Visa bill. We got that paid off in 1.4 months. Our total debt payoff now is 28.3 months. Remember, we haven't considered interest and fees and everything, or every monthly payment we're making down the line. So this number is actually going to be lower, same as Dave's plan, but as you can see, we knocked 7 months off of our payments using this plan as opposed to the normal snowball method. Now, I do have a spreadsheet that kind of can take you through this and show you the actual months and how it can cut off, and I can share that with you guys at a later time because I'm still doing some adjustments to that. But I'm showing you, and I'll do a side-by-side a little bit later, that this plan has a bigger impact because the snowball that you're creating is much larger if you're starting with $350 a month because you're using the debt that you had the least time to pay on, then that smallest debt, which was that $750, now you only have $25 a month to pay for the next debt. So this is huge if you look at now, instead of that 35 months earlier that we talked about in Dave's plan, we're paying off our debt in 7 months. 7 months earlier, now we can start 7 months earlier building our wealth and investing all of this money now that we were paying toward debt. Okay, so we went through everything in the plan. I hope that you're as excited as I am about the differences in the plan and how effective it can be in paying off your debt. Like I said, this is personal. I'm getting started with this plan, so you'll get to follow me on the journey and watch us actually go through this plan as well. But don't wait to see how successful we are. You get in on the plan and you do the plan yourself as well. But everything that we went through were steps 6 through 10. So I may not have said that in the last clip, but steps 6 through 10 were everything to go through and pay off the debt. So that explains everything. But what I wanted to show you in this clip was the comparison and the side-by-side with the Dave Ramsey snowball as compared to the Rich Dad method. I'm coining that term, by the way. Nobody has said that, so don't nobody take my name because I named that. That's me. I did that. Okay. So, to show you all the comparison and why I think this has a bigger impact. On the left are the numbers for Dave Ramsey snowball. And on the right, you will see the numbers for the Rich Dad method. And these are what your snowball payments would be every month. So if you did it Dave's way, the first debt you will be using $125 because we added that additional $100 to pay off your debts. For the Rich Dad method, you'd be using $350. So that's not the biggest impact because that's what you were going to be doing anyway if we added the additional $100. It's the second debt where you see the biggest impact, because now you see with debt number 2 in Dave's method, we only added $25 to our next payment. So our snowball, it grew, but it really ain't grow that much. With the Rich Dad Method, we went from a $350 payment to a $650 payment. That's huge. So we went from a tiny ass snowball to now a big snowball. So that's where you start to see the difference in the impact of the different methods. Now roll it down to debt number 3. We already made our big impacts on our big debts. So now with debt number 3 with Dave Snowball, yeah, we finally got up to $400. Now our snowball is getting a little bit bigger. But with the Rich Dad Method, we passed that already. So now we're up to $675 that we're using to pay off our debt. So we're still having a bigger impact than Dave Snowball. And then the last debt, of course, is going to be the same because we're doing the same amount, so it's $700. But look at the ending, which I mentioned earlier. With Dave Snowball Method, it took us 35.9 months to pay off all of these debts. That's almost 3 years. With the Rich Dad Method, coined by Chris, don't steal that, I want y'all to remember that. With the Rich Dad Method, 28.3 months. That's less than 2.5 years to pay off all of this debt. You just saved yourself 7 months in paying off your debt. That's 7 months that you can start building your wealth, which is very, very important. This method, I don't know why it didn't become popular. Maybe it's because Robert Kiyosaki isn't into the whole debt thing as much as Dave Ramsey is. I don't know, but it should be. So I'm going to make it popular. Y'all start doing it. Use this. It's much more impactful than the normal debt snowball that everybody is using. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. Send me a message. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to just like the video. I really hope you did like the video. I hope you got a lot of information. But remember, if you have any questions, please let me know. I've done this before. We're working on it personally now, so I can't give you just whatever advice I can possibly try to give you. But I've shown you the difference. It works. Do this plan.